Good morning. Hello. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to make it really exciting now because I'm talking to someone today who's extremely interesting. Firstly, and relatively unusually for the people that we interview, it's a man who runs a business from home. There are fewer of those than there are women, so it's great to see them. He's a really, really nice guy. But his home business is not your normal kind of home business. And he has a great hobby. He rides motorbikes. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Chef Tom Murphy. Hi.
How you doing, Andrea? Good to be here.
I'm so glad that you found some time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it. I say found some time because you're very busy with your own show as well, aren't you?
Yes, I actually go on later on today on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. And so I got once a week I got a little cooking show that goes out there, just some fun, healthy recipes, for folks.
Right. But it's not just recipes, is it? I mean, it's called kitchen counseling. So tell us how that works.
The idea behind kitchen counseling was we wanted to incorporate some talk about a social topic or about a personal topic or something like that while we were cooking. I developed, or not developed, but I kind of, on my website, you can see I have a whole section called Cooking Therapy. And cooking therapy basically is an idea behind getting a group of people together and cooking as a therapeutic event. So it has a lot of good properties to it as far as, there's basic skills that have to take place. As far as chopping, you got to be mindful, aware of that, the social interactivity of that. There's a lot of possibilities of this type of therapy being beneficial in a lot of different ways. So the kitchen counseling show was just to kind of showcase that and get it out there a little bit, that it was something for everyone. We got some simple recipes. I can show you how to make some stuff, even if you can't cook, even if you burn water. I can show you how to make something. You're going to love it. It's going to taste good. And we're going to talk about something along the way that is meaningful, either in the time frame right then in the moment, socially, or for that person that might be on the show with me. That was the idea behind it.
Right. It's interesting, the idea about cooking having something to do with therapy and counseling and healing, because my mum is an amazing cook and she loves entertaining. So right through my childhood and my youth and, even up to today, she loves cooking and entertaining. And for her, the whole experience is wonderful.
Right.
But at the same time, your everyday cooking still, now I don't have all the entertainment side of it that she has. I mean, nothing to the degree. And at weekends where I take more time with cooking, because I am a person who does like to have real food and make sure that, my daughter and my husband actually eats their greens and all that kind of stuff. I do find that I enjoy the process when I'm more relaxed, and I can see how it could have therapeutic qualities, whereas during the week it's just a mad scramble. And sometimes I think, okay, the first thing I do when I become a millionaire is get a chef. So stick around.
Well, food is a social activity in itself. And I did do an interview for a family group that was talking about trying to get the families together for more time, since we're so independent now, connected and so many different devices, and there's no time for the families to sit down like they used to at the dinner table and have a meal and talk about their day. So we talked through a process about getting the family together to prepare the meal. And you have children at all different age groups, all different skill levels. And so you, as the parent that are wanting to do this, you first have to have a little meeting because you're changing the plan for the family, but you want to sit down and say, this is going to be our time together. We have a lot going on. Dad's got a lot going on. Mom's got a lot going on. You guys after school activities. We're going to make a meal, whether it's every day or whether it's once a week or whatever. You set a schedule. We're going to make a time, and everybody's going to participate in this together. This is our time together. Little ones can be making name tags. You know, a little bit older, if they can handle the knife, they're cutting the stuff and they're making the sauce, and, you know, doing different aspects, setting the table, choosing the music that you want to play. Everybody can have a part in this to have a successful family interaction. It doesn't all be the cooking end of it, because some people love cooking and some people really hate it. But there's other aspects around the cooking thing, and I look at it as an orchestra. And every piece of that orchestra needs to do well for it to come out as beautiful music. And that's what with a meal. You got the bussers, you got the people that need to clean the tables, you got the people to set the tables, you got, designing little, like I said, little name tags, or putting the placemats out. There's a lot of different activities that make that whole thing come together. And you have to look at it, that overall picture.
Yeah, what a lovely idea. The idea of the orchestra. I like that. And then sort of creating something lovely like the music. Very nice. So from a point of view of running a home business, doing it as a chef isn't exactly the first thing you'd think of. How did you get there? And in fact, let's talk a little bit about what you do too, because there seem to be an awful lot of string to your bow, to stick to the orchestral analogies or metaphors, should I say.
Well, what I like to tell people now is that I am a motorcycle riding holistic chef. I wasn't always that way. Life's experiences and adventures make us who we are. And I've gone down a lot of different paths to get here. But this is my core and my root. And it really comes back to who I am. I've had an entrepreneurial spirit all my life. I started my first business when I was a teenager. And of course, with anything new, whether it's a business or you're taking a course about something or whatever, or learning a new recipe, there is a ramp up time. You have to learn how to make it work. And of course, my first business didn't go very well, and I was very disappointed, and I was young. And so I threw myself into the corporate life for 20 years until the point where it almost killed me. And I basically was told right around 40 that I had a year to live. And if I didn't change my lifestyle completely, I was going to die. My body was shutting down. So I thought, I took that seriously, and I went back into my heart and what I was about. And I walked in the next day and I quit my job. I've been there 20 years. And it was a high stress job, but I loved it. I was air traffic controller for 20 years. But it's not who I was. So I went back into the entrepreneurial spirit, started my second business, and also enrolled in Oriental medicine to kind of heal myself. The blend of those two at the same time has actually taken me on this path for the last 20 years of where I'm at now. And now my focus is blending our passions, what gives you joy, what gives you happiness every day, with something that makes you feel like you are making a difference. It has to be bigger than you.
Yes.
Okay? So that's really where I've gone.
Yeah, and the step from having a steady employment and then breaking away from that and following your heart. I'm sure there are people in the position thinking I've got this steady job. I mean, especially nowadays, right? Where nothing seems to be steady anymore.
Right.
And they have something else that they'd rather be doing. And the fact that you actually did it, and it's now, 20 years later, and you're still doing it. And you obviously love what you do.
Yes, I'm still learning and changing as I go. I really believe that the day I stop learning, I'm done. You might as well put a rug over me, I'm finished. But I still learn and change but every time I make another step in this process, I look at the depth of it.
Mm.
Okay, when you're talking about a paycheck and working for somebody and stuff, those are your basic needs. Those need to be met. Okay, they got to be met. So for folks that are doing that, that's fine. Don't give up on just that. Look at yourself a little bit deeper and what you want out of life, and make some time for that. Let your day-to-day job pay your bills right now, but find that deeper something in you that gives you that joy and that happiness that you can put your life behind. And that eventually will take over your day-to-day stuff.
Mm.
It just takes time. It's not fast. It just takes time.
Mm. So as a chef working from home, how did you make sure that you were covering your needs financially?
Before I became a chef, I've been cooking since I was 8 years old. So cooking's been part of my life, all my life. I've done big parties. I used to do party. It wasn't considered a party until I had over 50 people at my house. I mean, before under 50 was a family gathering. Okay, I'm from a big Italian family. You know, just to get the siblings together and their spouses was 25 people. You know, it was like, so I've been used to doing a lot of cooking for larger groups.
Mm.
But now, I lost track of where I was going. And see, that's my problem. When I get to this age, I just like they're taking off. So you got to reel me back in, Andrea. I was like, what were we talking about?
We were talking about how you actually monetize a business like being a chef.
Well, before I went to culinary school and made my cooking official, I've always been dabbling in different types of businesses for residual income. And I've done that most of my life. The problem was that that's changed over the years of the companies that I focus on. Mm-hmm. And when I was younger, it was all about the money. I was going to just go in, I'm going to make all this money and I'm going to do all this. That has no heart. Mm-hmm. All right. You have to look at companies, and I do this now, not only with network marketing companies, I also do it in my personal investing and everything. Companies that have heart and doing things for the right reasons and have the right stuff that's good for you. Yeah. So I lined myself up with a couple of companies that I believe in, and I use their products because they work for me. Right. And that was my residual income starting to come in so I can focus down the path of the chef. When I went,
I can imagine that if you're a chef and you're doing events, you know, there are seasons where there are lots of events, and then there are other seasons there might not be. So your income is sporadic.
Yes.
And you want something that gives you some solid foundation, something regular and consistent. And now that we're talking, I can actually think of things that line up with being a chef, with doing the cooking. I mean, there are some people use essential oils in their cooking, for example, and there are several companies that do that. So one of those would be a good partner. There are tools, pans and things that are made and sold in this way, in as a sort of MLM. I think Tupperware is even an MLM company. That arguably fits in with cooking. And then wine, you know, would fit in. Maybe there's a herb and spice company or something. I don't know. But, you know, when I first thought about it, I thought, okay, how on earth do you make this work? But now that I'm thinking about it more, there are actually lots of things that would fit.
There are a lot of connections, and there are a lot of companies out there. And again, dealing with my philosophy, you're going to want to look at those companies because they all represent different things. And I've selected a couple of them that I believe in, and I do essential oils, and I do a whole line of cooking with essential oils and teach people how to use them safely. And I align myself with an organic wine company and do food and wine pairings with my food and their clean wines. And those things make sense to me. And, and I'm always looking at all the other companies out there and see if something that fits. I don't just add it because of the hype or whatever. I add it because it has value. You know.
Of course. And you can choose.
I can.
You see, and you can always change if something better comes up, or if you don't like something, or because it's an extra. added to your business. It's not your entire
It is.
business.
And going back on the entrepreneur theme, that one of the best things about an entrepreneur is that you get to choose who you get to hang with.
Mm.
All right. And I choose positivity. I want people around me that are positive. You working at a day job, you don't get to choose your coworkers.
No.
Right. And you're with them for a lot of hours in the week. All right.
Mm.
As an entrepreneur, you get to make that choice. And then you get to choose which direction you're going to go and when you're going to change and who you're going to change. But the positivity to me is the main benefit to being an entrepreneur. Everybody talks about the flexibility and how much money you can make and all that stuff. And that's all great. Those are factors. Positivity is having that in your life and around you. That stokes everything else in your life.
Yes. Yes. I'm so glad you said that. I mean, it is one of my questions, what are the benefits of being an entrepreneur? And you're right. People talk about freedom and flexibility and being able to be with their kids. As I said before, most of the people I've met so far have been women. And I did do my video series about women. Mama Millionaires was all about mamas, oddly. So that didn't feature men, although having said that, there was one man. But the idea of you can choose who you're working with, because you can fire a client, you can fire a team member, you can not work with somebody if you don't want to, or you can find somebody that you love and make a connection and somehow turn that into something that creates something that can turn into money somehow at some point. Yes. Which is what creating a business is. I mean, people have met people and founded companies and created things that you would never have thought would be necessary or work or be viable. Mm-hmm. And yet it has been, because they've just connected with the right kind of people. And that's what building a community is all about.
Yeah, the power of positivity is amazing. And you hear people hype that up too. But I have people in my life right now that I just like being around. I don't know why they're in my life at this point, and I stopped trying to figure that out. Patience, you just gotta trust. They're in my life for some reason, and I've had some of those people pop up, and then a year or two later, here comes the reason. And now it's an avenue I'm going to go down with them, and that's the beauty of it, is that you surround yourself with positivity, and that positivity attracts positivity. And then I have some good ideas, but where I go a lot of times is my friends, they have a lot better ideas than I do, and we just work on stuff together and make it happen.
It all sounds as though it flows beautifully and works wonderfully. Now, I know you told us about your experience when you were very young, that the business didn't work out and you kind of, threw in the towel and said, okay, I'll go and get myself a job. But since your reiteration as an entrepreneur 20 years later, what's the biggest mistake that you made?
I think when I jumped back into it, as I was healing myself and learning a lot of holistic stuff, is I jumped back into a lot of businesses for the wrong reason.
Ah, yes.
I got caught up in I needed to make some money. I just left a very high paying job and I had no income, so I needed to make money. So I was all about the money. What happens in that is that you don't have a passion for what you're talking about. And that comes across. I mean, it's a sales job. That's what all it was. So I was just trading myself into another job. Through the evolution of time, I actually started selecting companies and things that I want to do that meant something to me. Now, I can talk about that all day long. We can sit for hours and hours, and I can talk about all those things that mean something to me. That's where the passion is. That's where the money will come from, because you're willing to do the 16-hour days you got to do sometimes in order to get through those tough times because you believe in it so much.
Yes, but there's more. There's also the fact that because you believe in it and you are passionate about it, you're not doing a sales job on the people you talk to about it. People are attracted to you and they want to know about what you're doing. And that leads to business, even if not with them, with somebody that they talk to because they met somebody. Referrals happen that way. And instead of selling something, because I can't tell you how many times people say to me, oh, well, I can't sell. And then I'm tempted to say, then don't give up the day job.
Yeah.
Because you can't sell, because everyone thinks selling is about selling. Nobody thinks that selling is persuading their 2-year-old to eat broccoli. That is selling. Persuading their dog to go out even though it's raining. That is selling. Because what you're doing is you're putting your viewpoint across to someone else. And when you do it with passion and enthusiasm, the way you do, and you're rare, actually, yours seeps through the pores of your skin in a way that is quite rare. There's no selling process involved at all. It is a conversation, and you infect the other person with your enthusiasm, I would say, more than there's a selling process.
Yeah. One of the things I had to learn in my process was I might be very excited about the things I'm doing for me personally. Okay. And they do things for me. Yeah. And I can sit here and talk to you about all this great stuff on and just barrage you with that. But what I needed to do was understand that you're different than I am and your needs are different than I am. Listen to what you're telling me. Do I have something that can help you? That's where the change in the whole project, where you're not just trying to sell a sign up or something like that. I want to hear what you got going. Do I have anything that can actually help you? And if I do, then I'm going to tell you my story that worked for me, which I think might work for you. And then I have to let you think about it. This is your call. This is your decision. But if you choose that this might be something that helps me, then I'm going to be all in with you and go right down the path with you because I love it. Everything that I'm touching doing, I love. And anybody that wants to be a part of that, then I want to be with them.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to push it. If it's not something that fits you, that's fine. That's fine.
That's a brilliant lesson. So from the point of view of the mistakes you made, is you feel as though you didn't actually have something that had your heart. But the lesson that you then learned was that you can't fire hose people, because even enthusiasm, if it's fire hosed, is too much.
Right.
And it's about serving.
Right.
It's about, what are you struggling with? And when it comes to something like food, there's all sorts of health issues and weight issues and, even depression and anxiety and things. People are now discovering they're connected to food. Yeah. So which brings us back to where we started off, wasn't it?
Right.
Was it from not only from what you're putting inside your body, it has therapeutic benefits, but the actual art of preparation and the process of cooking as well, which brings me sort of almost neatly, not quite as neatly as I'd like, but it brings me round to the website, which has an interesting name. Tell us about that.
And I get a lot of comments on the website, and people that just don't know my whole story. They're just like, what the heck is this? If you go onto the website, I've kind of explained it on the website, but you got to take that step first to kind of get there. The website is called yoursoulpath.net, and soul is SOLE, as the sole of your feet. When I changed my life 20 some years ago and went to an Oriental medicine school and learned a lot of different modalities in healing, one of the things I learned was foot reflexology. And foot reflexology, for some reason, connected to me. I liked it. I got good response from it. I helped a lot of people with it. And it just seemed to fit. Some of the other stuff, it was nice knowledge, but it wasn't going to be me. I was never going to be a massage therapist. I was never going to be an acupuncturist. It just didn't call to me. But the foot reflexology did. And I actually opened a business back then just doing foot reflexology. So it's part of my path. And I wanted to give it tribute to where I'm continuing to go. It started me down this path. At that time, I wasn't a chef. I mean, I was a home cook. I had just left a 20-year career job. I was still trying to figure myself out.
Mm-hmm.
But your soul path incorporates all the aspects of what I use on a daily basis for me to give to the people in my life. And that is reflexology. I do essential oils. I am a Reiki practitioner. I am a independent consultant for several different companies, and they have links all on that website. So everything is kind of combined under there. And then when I got my chef certificate, I put in my cooking therapy and some of the stuff I was doing under that. And all of that was great. The focus has really kind of come off of that to what I'm doing with the TV show. And again, it goes back to what I was saying before. I can't just, like you said, fire hose somebody with all my enthusiasm on my different topics, which I have several. And so that's why I can tie you up all day long. But the cooking show, my goal for the cooking show is to take all of these healthier or different aspects of my life and present them to you in a way that no matter whether you love cooking or whatever, you find some type of benefit in what we're doing. And that could be the cooking part itself. It could be some of the essential oils. It could be, just the get together, the social component, the talking about things and just getting it out and just having fun. And so where I went with the show was I developed kind of like my little mantra of my 4 F's. And that's family, friends, fun, and food. And those 4 things, I think, are essential for accentuating our life. And it's keeping those things in balance in our life. And that's what the show is all about. And we can get into a lot other deeper stuff later when people are interested, but I just don't throw it out anymore and just like, oh, got to do this, this. No, this is what we're about. Check it out if you like it. Check it out some more. We can talk later.
Right. So what are you doing? Are you promoting your products or cooking a meal, or what's the format?
I'm pretty much cooking a meal. I mean, when I got out of chef school, I went again down that path that they set you up where I went into corporate, and it just wasn't for me. I enjoy the process of cooking. I enjoy food. I enjoy all aspects of cooking. Even in other areas of my life when I wasn't cooking professionally, food was always a part of it. I was writing restaurant reviews. I was doing different things. Food was always around. I just like being around food. So I just want to share that love on the show and help people with whatever questions they have, not only with the food or with anything else. So I'm right now doing the show just really for fun for myself, to give myself that fun level, and to promote something to a larger group. There's tons of cooking shows out there, some really, really good ones. They do really fancy stuff. I'm just kind of tripping people up. I'm just a regular guy. I ride my motorcycles for fun. That's one of the things that makes me balanced. I take a holistic approach because I've had a life scare. So I am hard to put in a box. Mm. And I like that. I can actually talk to several different types of people from different walks of life, and I understand where they're coming from. Mm. That's what makes it different, and that's what I love doing right now, and that's all. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just having fun with the show, meeting as many different people from different walks of life and showing how we can all be together. Even though we have different viewpoints and we have different things that we do, we can all come together.
Isn't that an amazing concept, that your business life can be about fun and the things that you enjoy and helping people, and it can still bring you an income? Isn't that glorious?
Mm-hmm. It is.
So what's the secret to bringing it all together and making it work without getting sort of too distracted by things?
I would say this is going to be different for everyone, but what I want you to do is focus on first focus on what gives you joy and makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to visualize that, and I want you to go deep with that. Get beyond the surface level. Get beyond, okay, I need to pay my bills. I need to do this. I need to do that. Those are your basic needs. Those need to be met. I'm not gonna take that away. But I don't want you to get stuck there. And that's where a lot of us get stuck. And we just meet that and we don't go any further. Take it deeper to look at what you would like as, what's the destination? Where do you want to go? Where's your destination? And it could be completely different than where you are right now. Visualize that, and the things that you do on a daily basis that actually give you happiness, let that be your driving factor to that destination, and then walk your steps back to where you are. Then you're building a business plan. You're basically putting the steps in place for where you are right now to where you want to go, and doing it with the things you love doing. Now, if you have a daytime job, you're taking care of your basic needs. Let that take care of that. But give yourself some time. You got to give yourself some time to do the things that energize you. And look at it from a health perspective. Just at that point, it ends up turning into a business thing later. The money does come later because you are doing it differently. Your mindset changes. So again, I rambled off. I went off on a bunch of different areas, but I like to look at that destination and walk it back.
Yes. And I love the way you said that, because there's a phrase that became ever so fashionable over the last few years, reverse engineering. And it sounds as though that's exactly what that is. It's looking at the destination and then walking backwards, which is actually the way that we're supposed to set goals and targets anyway, isn't it? It's like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? It's like, how to get somewhere. I want to drive to, I don't know, Phoenix. I know exactly where I'm going. I know how I'm going to get there, and I know when I'm going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'll arrive, I won't know until I've checked my map, and how I'm going to get there, I won't know till I've checked my map. But I can't just go and get my map and then say, okay, I'll go, and then figure out where I'm going to go afterwards. That would be catastrophe. And yet we do that with our goals, don't we? All the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like, I like the fact that I don't ever give up no matter what my age is. And that's what a lot of people will stop themselves on that. I remember a conversation between a couple of friends years ago, and this nice woman was in her 30s, and she wanted to be a doctor. That was her goal. She just wanted to be a doctor. And I remember, but she's like, oh, I'm too old to start. I mean, to go to medical school and do all that. And I remember hearing her other friend tell her, well, you're going to be 40 at some point. And when you are 40, you can either be 40 and a doctor, or 40 and still wanting to be a doctor. All it takes is that desire to go after your goal, and then seeing that end product. At 40, if she would have gone to start school then, she would have been a doctor. But time is going to come along anyway. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be 40 at some point. So why not, in that process, doing the things that you love, so that when later in life that time comes, you have achieved those things that you love.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this, and I read an article on the Huffington Post a while back, and I just grabbed a couple of excerpts from it. I wanted to read it because I think it's important for people of all ages. And some people probably have heard this, but parts of this were Morgan Freeman landed his first major movie role at age 52. A lot of people think that, oh man, you're an overnight success. Overnight success. Yeah, it took me 30 years to become an overnight success. They don't see all the things that you did in order to get to that point. They just see the big splash. Grandma Moses didn't begin her painting career until she was 76. And what I really loved about this article is whatever your dream is, it is not too late to achieve it. You aren't a failure because you haven't found fame and fortune by the age of 21. Hell, it's okay even if you don't even know what your dream is yet. Even if you're flipping burgers or waiting tables or answering phones today, you never know where you'll end up tomorrow. Never tell yourself you're too old to make it. Never tell yourself you missed your chance. Never tell yourself that you aren't good enough. You can do it, whatever it is. And I live with that.
That is true. There's one thing I would say, though. I think it said something like, you never know where you're going to end up tomorrow. Well, you do if you don't follow your dream, because you know, just like the woman who was going to be 40 and wanted to be a doctor, she knew damn well that if she didn't actually take the steps and go to medical school, she wasn't going to be a doctor at 40.
Right.
One thing you do know is that you will never get what you want if you stay where you are.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
And what's kind of fun and exciting to me is that if you do take those steps and start going down that path, it doesn't always go the way you planned it to go. But the journey is so amazing and takes you on another path that you had never thought of. And that was the path you were supposed to be on, but you had to take that initial step to go over here.
Yes, 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 yes. And I think the better you prepare and the better you plan and the more determined you are, the faster the place where you really should be will come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
you're willing to take those steps.
Sorry?
And you're willing to take those steps, and then you're willing to make the adjustments. That's one of the biggest keys, is that contemplation over, did this go the way I wanted it to go? Or, if it did, great. If it didn't, why not? What happened? What do I need to do in order to adjust to what happened to me? So it took you down another path, but you would never have gotten to that path if you hadn't started on this one.
Exactly, exactly. And I wonder how many people last year were knocked completely off track and have found that they've actually ended up in the right place.
Yeah.
Because I know I've been working with business owners for nearly a decade now. So, well, actually, that's in this country. I did before as well, previous life. But a lot of them have had to pivot. In fact, the word pivot got so overused last year, it was kind of crazy, because circumstances have thrown something at them, and a lot of people acted faster than they would have done normally, or they did something that they wouldn't normally have dared to do, or life threw something at them that they just had to take action and maybe would never have done. And I wonder, I'm sure that the majority of them ended up in the right place. I'm quite sure, never mind how painful it was. And I know that a lot of us can't actually look back on it yet because we're still stuck in the middle of it. Well, we think it's the middle, but we don't know if it's the middle, do we? Because we don't know how much longer it's going to go on for. But, the general feeling is that it's going to be quite a long time. So if you nearly made the shift but didn't quite, for goodness sake, do. Because you will, with determination and taking consistent action, even if you end up going in a completely different direction. Just as if I was driving to Phoenix and there was a detour, I'd still end up in Phoenix. It might not be the same day, but how many times have you heard people say, oh, that detour, we found this gorgeous little shop, or this fantastic restaurant, or this amazing view. And life is like that too.
That's the definition of enjoying the journey right there.
Mm.
You have a destination, you have somewhere you're going to go. Sometimes you get a detour. Enjoy the journey. You would never have stayed at that little restaurant or checked that out if you hadn't gotten detoured. Yeah. And that is what 2020 was really all about. It was really detours after detours after detours. And you have to be able to look at that and enjoy that journey, even if it's not always pleasant. Enjoy what this process is. 2020 was a huge up and down year for me. I look back on that now, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow, it's interesting. And you've just given me an idea as well. I started off 2020 writing about, because, you know, the new year is so often about goals and so on. Mm-hmm. I remember I started off writing about, have you got 2020 vision? In other words, do you know where you're going? And of course, the year went so horribly wrong for so many people that you know, that's became irrelevant. And yet now I have literally just realized, talking to you, that we now, so many of us actually did develop 2020 vision. 2020, yes. Because it pushed us in directions that we wouldn't have gone and opened our eyes to something completely new. Yes, I've got to write about that now.
Yes, you do. You write that one.
Yeah, I've got to write about that now. This has been fantastic. I'm so glad you came.
I'm glad I was here. Nice, always nice talking to you, Andrea.
Oh, bless you, bless you. So we've talked about mistakes. We've talked about lessons learned. What was the best investment you made in your business?
Well, you know what, that one's definitely personal for me. The best investment I made is in my health.
Yeah.
That, you know, if by taking care of my physical, emotional, and spiritual body, it actually opens up the creativity and the ingenuity for any business adventures coming in. If you're worried about your physical health, you're not going to have the energies necessary to be creative and go, and especially changing like in 2020. So taking care of that 20 years ago was definitely my best investment. And since then, that's where everything's blossomed. Since that, universe, I believe, sees that you're taking care of yourself and they're going to give you opportunities, and then your eyes are open. I believe opportunities are always in front of you. Everybody's got opportunities in front of them. The people that see them, their eyes are just a little more wide open than the others. That's it. And if you're focusing on your health or some basic needs, your eyes are not open enough to see those yet. Once you take care of that matter, your eyes open up a little bit more, you start seeing things a little differently, everything changes.
Yeah, brilliant. I love that. And of course, investments are not always about money at all. We've talked about making it all work. We've talked about the benefits of being an entrepreneur, particularly because you looked at things that other people hadn't said, which was very interesting. So as we come to the end, I know you've said this before, but it was so good, it's worth repeating. The one bit of advice that you would give people today who are thinking they might start a business, but they're not sure for whatever reason.
I don't know. My mind is going all over the place right now. I would have to say, I still go back to finding your joy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's what
drives you. Yeah, it's what drives you. It's going to be different for everybody. And for me, it really boiled down to finding the things in my life that make me happy. What are those happy places? And that's where once I started focusing on that, that's where I came up with the motorcycle ride and holistic chef. Those are all the things I love doing. So why not make those things my place and my focus and where I go? I can talk from that because those are my deep loves. So it's finding your passion and using that to drive you to that destination that you're looking for.
Right. And from a marketing perspective, it's also probably where your audience is.
Yeah.
You know, so it's actually a good thing to be who you are, because you'll attract the right kind of people.
Yeah.
More easily than, you know.
You got to be real. You got to. You know, I've tried to go down this path and do what other people told me to do and script things out and all that, and it's not me, and it doesn't look good and it doesn't feel good, and nobody gravitates to it. I come out here and I start talking, and I start doing a cooking show, and I start misspelling or mispronouncing words and stuff, and I was like, sorry, that's just who I am. And it was like, people are like, okay, this guy, he's just real. He don't care. He's just doing. I'm doing it because the bigger thing that's driving me. I'm not worrying about all those little things that other people think are important. I'm just doing what I feel people can relate to, and people do. And then I get some of the best emails and calls from people. It's like, thank you for that recipe. I'm going to be jumping all over that and trying that out. Or I've never thought about doing that. So thanks again. And that's it's just touching. It's just reaching out.
Perfect. Brilliant. You've said so many really, really essential and very important things today. And it's wonderful to see an example of someone whose passion and whose joy is actually driving their life and their business. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
So, Chef Tom Murphy, we can find you at yoursoulpath.net.
Yes, ma'am.
Where we can learn all about your TV show, which also streams on Facebook, doesn't it?
I do stream the TV show on Facebook and YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel called Kitchen Counseling, and I've just finally got all of those up there on there. We are streaming also on another network that goes out to Apple and Amazon and Roku, all those things and stuff. I'm not good at knowing those things, so I stick with my YouTube channel. Is a little bit easier for me. But you can find us on those other streaming services through KP Media TV.
Right.
Those are our big. That was one of my big changes for 2020 was actually starting that show and getting out to a large audience, which I just wanted to get out to talk to people. That's really what it all started out being, and it's been a wonderful ride, and I really enjoy the last shows that have been coming out the last month or so. They've really taken the turn of where I'm looking for it to go. So the show and my website kind of gives you a little bit of background on me. So if you like that history stuff, where you go.
Yeah, and on our website as well, which is MyHomeBiz.TIPS, we link to your YouTube as well. So people can find your channel directly from MyHomeBiz.TIPS, where we have a little bit of information about you and a picture and your YouTube channel. So people can find you there as well as everyone else that we've talked to as well.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's been lovely talking to you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with later on today. Some other mouth-watering delight, no doubt.
Yeah, today's going to be a good one. Today will be a really nice one. It's this recipe I actually worked on a long time to get it just right. And I made this and I took it to some friends when I did the show, when I did the filming, and all of them were like, oh my God. This is like knocked it out of the park. You just like made my recipe terrible.
Isn't it wonderful when you do something like that and make people happy? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, one of the ladies said, my kids said, this is legit. so I'm like, all right, now I know I did it right.
No, you really won. Good job. Thanks, Tom. And it's delightful talking to you. And you've shared some really fantastic stuff. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me, and I wish you the best with your show.
Thank you. Thanks. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.